Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining me. My name is Brian Morrison. What I've been doing for the last couple of weeks is working on teaching some people how to write some code. The project we've been working on is a VueCRM that's built with Vue.js and Node.js. And the last time we had done this, I got my notes here. Last time we did this, what we did is we added some unit tests into the API. We added some controller methods and routes. Got that all situated and going, and then I put on a quick stream this past Monday where we actually migrated away from mockapi.io, where we were hosting our mock API that really wasn't storing any real data for us, into what we built locally. So what we're going to do today is I'm actually going to work on getting a way to update the customers. What we have so far is we have a list of customers, and you can add a customer to it, and you can delete a customer from it. I think you can delete a customer. Honestly, I don't even remember, but I should have checked beforehand. But what we're going to do today is we're going to make sure we can update a customer. We're going to make sure we can add some notes to the customer. That's going to be the two goals for the day. So we're going to create some unit tests. We're going to write some controller methods, some routes, make sure the API is all updated and working, and then we're going to go ahead and add the UI into our Vue.js front end, and then make sure that whole thing's working. So with that said, let's kind of get started. So I've got a lot of this up already. I've got our API running on port 8082. I've got our Vue front end running on 8080. So that's what we want there. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and open this so I can show you guys what this looks like. Here's where we're at so far. You can see it's very basic, and here's where you can add. Here's where the customers are listed. Here's where you can add a customer. It's extremely basic right now. There hasn't been a whole lot that's really been done to this at this point, but we've only been doing it in little chunks, so no big deal. We'll make something a little bit more robust as we go, and really this is just to demonstrate some of the capabilities and I guess how to build out a front end and a back end. So the first thing I'm actually going to start with is we have a lot of our we have a lot of our unit tests for our customers written already. So we're going to continue on that path since we have, so we have should save a customer and should get a list of customers. Those are the two methods that we have so far. So we're actually going to set in there to update a customer. We'll start with it should update a customer. We'll add an async arrow function in here, like so. Add spacing in there because I'm anal about all of my formatting. So, and then what I'm actually going to do, this isn't really necessarily recommended. Ideally, I probably should create some kind of mock of this, but I'm going to get the first customer, update the first name, save it back into the database, get a list of customers again, and validate the first customer. I've shot myself in the foot doing this before because if you have your methods your tests run out of sync, where it expects it to be, expects the first customer to still be there, but you delete it, then it causes the test to fail. But just for the sake of simplicity, we're going to go ahead and do that anyway. So let's see. We will do let customers equals await controller.get customers, because that's the method we have so far. It's going to get all of our customers. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's see, how do we want to do this? I guess we can do let updated customer equals customers 0. Actually, I think I set this, I have this as a data function in here. No, that's on the route. No, that's on the route. And we'll say updated customer first name equals, let's see, we'll do John. We will do, let's see, awaits controller. Controller.update customer. And then what we want to pass in is the ID, so updated customer dot ID, underscore ID because we're using Mongoose, and then the updated customer. And this is because in our route, we're going to actually add a query into the route, or a parameter rather, into the route. So this way, it'll be API/customers /the ID, and that indicates to the API which customer we're going to update. The updated customer is the whole model. It's the whole object that's sent in, because any updates that are done into that object and sent into the API, it's going to go ahead and update that in the database as well. So let's leave that like that, and then what we're going to do is let check customers. This is where we're going to check our changes to make sure that this works. Await controller.get customers. We're going to get them all, and then we're going to assert that let's see, not deep equal. Let's see, customers. Let's see, I guess we could do updated customer dot first name, and then check customers 0 dot first name. Okay, so I'm actually going to hide out my terminal here and get rid of that. So stepping through this one by one, line 31 says I want to get a list of customers from the database as they currently stand. 33 is just isolating that single customer. Now this doesn't do a copy, so this is actually a pointer, or what they call a shallow copy of the first item of the customer's array. It doesn't actually create a copy of it. So when I update it here, when I say updated customer.firstName, it's going to update that in the array. And then we're just going to pass in, we're going to create a method. This method here does not exist. So this is what we're going to create right now. We're going to go ahead and send the updated customer ID, which is going to be important when we do the route, and the updated customer. As I said before, the ID just isolates the object. We're going to do an update, find one and update using Mongoose, and then send in the whole new customer object just for the updates. It's going to it'll update anything we send with it. Then we're going to get another copy of customers after the update's completed, and then we're going to make sure that updated customer.firstName. Oh, actually, you know what? I do want to make a copy of this. So what do we want to name this guy? Because we want to make sure that these are not equal. So updated.firstName, updated customer.firstName, and then the first, let's see, check customers, the first item in that array, first name, that actually is going to be equal. So we're actually going to create a deep copy using a trick with JSON serialization and deserialization. I think I got that order right. To make a copy of this and kind of store it off to the side to check later. So let's do original customer. That's a good name. Equals JSON.parse, JSON.stringify, and then our customers.0. So in JavaScript, like I said, it only makes a shallow copy. If you want to make a deep copy, there are some other methods I'm loosely aware of, but this seems to be the trick that I've seen a lot of people do so far. What people are basically doing is they're taking the item you want to make a copy of, which in this case is the first customer in our array. We're going to stringify that. So basically, we're going to take the object in JavaScript and convert it into a JSON string. And then we're going to parse that back into an object. This seems to be kind of the best quick and dirty way to do this. If there is a better way to do this, by all means, reach out and let me know. And then instead of checking the updated customer, we actually want to check the original customer, not first name. So let's update this here. And there is our unit test. This is what we want to run and make sure that works. So what I'm going to do is we're going to open a terminal back up, and I'm actually going to open another window here. And I think I'm npm, oh yeah, just npm test. Those are the only two I have. So if I do npm R1 view, and then I think we're in the API, npm test. This is going to run nodemon with Mocha, and then a bunch of, and then search for those spec.js files and run those tests. So good. We got controller.updateCustomer is not a function, which is exactly what we would expect, because it isn't. We haven't created it yet. So spec file, we're going to go back, actually jump into the the controller itself. And as you can see, I have a shell of this written so far because I, quite frankly, copied this from another project I'm working on. So we're going to uncomment that, and we're just going to run through this. This is actually really simple. Oh, you know what I do want to do is I want to add a try catch to this. So we're going to move this in here into the try block, and then we're going to catch error, and then we're going to throw new error, error.message. There we go. So when an error does occur, for whatever reason, it's going to throw this and then relay it back up the stack. So now if I save this and run it, fingers crossed, we have a passing test now. And that means that first when it updates that guy, I just realized, and see, this is why it's a bad idea to do this the way that I did, because I'm statically updating the customer's first name to John. Now, because that's the first item in the array, it's actually always going to be John from this point going forward. So if I save this and retest it, it's going to fail. So another thing we can do is there is a function I'm going to grab from over here that will let me get a random string. It's a one-liner that I found on, someone created a gist on. So let's see, JavaScript, random text. Here we go. So this isn't a cryptographically sound method of creating a random string, but for our specific instance, it will work just fine. So what we'll do is we're going to add, so that's the method right there. So I'm not actually going to attempt to explain that right now. I could if I struggled with it, but oh, what the hell, let's go. So math is the class that we're going to use here. We're going to get a random, we're going to get some random. I should know how this works. And I don't, but it does work. I'll try to explain it later. I'll make a note to actually go forward and let's see, be able to explain math. Geez, I can't type today. Explain. I'm working on a new keyboard, so I'm still trying to get accustomed to it. Be able to explain math.random random string function. And I swear, by next time, I will know how this works. But for sake of argument, it does work. So we'll do let randomness, random string equals that. So now instead of John, what we will do is we'll do, let's do John / and then I'm going to insert my random string after John. So if I recall right, it's going to actually throw in 16 random characters in here. So you John - 16 random characters, which is exactly what we want, because now it's going to pass. Okay, so that's done. That's done. Our update customer is done. Now we're going to do the route as well. So I didn't add unit tests for the routes. We'll tackle that next time. I'll make a note. Unit tests for let's see, VueCRM routes. We'll add that and we'll do that next time as well. But for the sake of argument and getting through our mission today, we're going to go ahead and copy and paste this. We're going to use put. Right now we have ID question mark. We don't want there to be a question mark. We want that to make sure there's always an ID there. So let's see here. Query, I'm not doing that right there. Get customers. Wait, that's fine, because what that's going to do, oh wait, we want to do update. Update customer, and we want to add rec.params._id. That's going to refer to in our route. So what this is going to do is, if we bounce back up to our app.js where everything's kind of defined, we've inserted our customer routes into API /API /customer. So it'll be whatever the link, the URL to your API is, /API /customers. In our routes file here, this means that anything that follows, it's going to go ahead and pull out into that ID parameter on the request. So that's how we can get this variable right here. So there's that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to just pass in rec.body. Normally I would do some kind of validation to make sure that what is being passed is valid data and can actually be accepted, and then throw an error back to the user if it's not. So if someone, like in my other requests here, specifically my post request, I made sure that this accepts an array, so you can actually add multiple customers in one shot. For my update, I'm just going to do it for one for now. So An example of where some good schema validation using Express Validator works well is if you want to validate that you either are getting an array or are not getting an array, that's where that can be very helpful. You want to tell the person ahead of time before it actually tries to do anything within your API that, hey, what you sent me, I can't do anything with. So, but for the sake of argument, we're just going to go ahead and pass in the whole body and whatever we send because we're controlling it, and we'll make it work. So let's see here. We got controller update customer is going to actually return the updates to the customer. I don't know if I have that set, so let's go make sure we have that set. And actually, I didn't even explain this. So it takes the customer. So the update customer, this find one and update. This is part of Mongoose. Customer here references our customer model that we've imported, and then the find one and update method on here is going to do exactly what it says. It's going to find one and it's going to update. Now, hey, you got some comments. No, I don't know a Ben Morrison. There's lots of Morrisons. We've got, my grandfather actually knows the lineage pretty well. I might be related to a Ben Morrison somewhere throughout the line, but I don't know anyone specifically. Hello, Brain Candlesh. How you doing? Okay, moving on. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add options, and I think I can do return, is it true? Let's look that up. So what this is doing is, this is your query right here. You pass in just a regular JavaScript object query into here. In this case, what we're doing is we're getting the customer ID, we're passing it into the underscore ID here, and it's going to find that one customer with that ID that we pass in. And remember, this is going to come over from our query parameter here. So that gets passed in. Then the next in line is the actual updates themselves. Now this can be, in our case, we're passing the entire updated object through, but you can also just pass in a subset of it. So if you pass in just one or two attributes, it will update just those one or two attributes inside the record of the database as well. And then I think this new :true, I think it's new. I know it's in this third. I know it's in this third set here, but jeez, come on. But what I'm basically saying is when I update it, I want to return back the object with the updates. So let's actually validate that. Let's see. Let's open another. Whoops! Don't open that guy. Let's open. Here we go. So find Mongoose, find one and update, return new. Let's bring this up so I'm not doing this by myself. Doesn't return updated document. See, new, true, right there. That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay, cool. So now that that is there, when it's updated, it's going to return those back. So that is fine. We can save that, and that should work just great. And again, the nice reason you have this, at least this terminal up here where the unit tests are running, is anytime I make changes to my API, I want to check my unit tests and make sure those still pass. So the unit tests, we don't need to do anything with that yet, but this should work just as it stands. So it's gonna update the customer using the parameters we're sending in. It's going to get an updated copy of that customer, pass it into this data, and then send it back to us. Okay, so the API should be updated. I think we've accomplished what we want to here for now. Actually, you know what I'm going to do instead? Well, let's go ahead and make sure we can update our customer. So coming into Vue.js, this is our Vue.js front end. Customer index. Now, what did I do here? Okay, so yeah, I don't have an actual details pane here, and I realize it is already coming up on my 30-minute mark, which is generally my target for these videos. So we'll get as much done as we can, and we'll find another day throughout the week to kind of catch up on the rest of it. So let's see here. Let's bring our Vue app up again and refresh that. There we go, into our customers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a link to the right-hand side that says edit. When I click edit, I want the same form to pop up here or a similar form. It's not going to be exactly the same one, but it'd be exactly what it says. So I'll be able to, it'll see the name, I can type in a new name, I can save it. When I save it, it submits it back into the database and updates the customer in the database. So let's close that for now. And I'm going to get rid of the terminals. So we got a little more room to work here. And let's see here. Here's my VDialog for the adding customer. Let's go ahead and make a copy of this. And we're going to paste this in. And let's see what we can get. We can clear out a lot of these things here. So we're going to get rid of save and new. We're not going to need to save and new. We don't need that anymore. The required fields are fine. See, I'm going to collapse this so I don't get confused on which one I'm working on. And another thing you can do is fix our spacing here. I'm actually going to check Facebook. I want to see if I got any messages on Facebook. Because I think this is the first time I'm going live on Facebook, so I quite honestly have no idea if this is even working right now. Let's see. It doesn't look like it is, actually. Maybe. Let's Q&A. Complete side note here. I don't know if I can start this thing fresh every single time, which is going to be kind of a bummer if I do. Let's see. Live video. Well, while that's thinking, we'll let this thing think because it's sitting here spinning right now. Okay, so back to what we're talking about here. Let's see. We're going to actually change this to is editing customer. Is editing customer. Okay, and for this, we'll change this to edit customer. And we want to do editing customer dot first name and editing customer dot last name. Connect. Fetching video stream. Hey, look at that. It seems to be doing something. It is doing something. What do you know? That really kind of sucks. Actually, if I gotta manually start this thing every time, that kind of sucks. Oh well. Hey, go live. Live receive various training for preview to live. Resolution too high as opposed to expected 1280 by 720. Really, Facebook? Really? I can't stream in 1080p on Facebook. Oh well, whatever. If you are joining on Facebook, thanks for joining. I'm not gonna go through my whole spiel again, but we're working on a CRM and Vue. Been doing this every Wednesday for about 8:30. It's been 8 o'clock for today. Today's 8:30. But anyway, moving on. So is editing customer is not there. We got to create that. Edit customer is fine. That's just a title. Editing customer, first name, editing customer dot last name. That's fine there. Okay, so scrolling all the way down, we're gonna add some of these new properties we just added in. So is editing customer equals false to start. And let's see. And editing customer, we're going to create this, and this is going to be a new object, right? So this got a mirror new customer. Otherwise, Vue complains because it doesn't see that object as being there in the first place. So let's copy this stuff down here. And this is going to be, they're going to start off as null because we don't need to actually see them. So let's do it. Let's get rid of this. We're going to move that over there. Can I see my Facebook stuff while this is going, or is it gonna, hey, there we go. Okay, cool. Hello, Facebook people. I finally got you guys up. It took long enough. So, all right, so is editing customers false? That lines up with here, and as we talked about before, the V model on our VDialog is gonna basically indicate to the framework what is displayed at any given time. So we're gonna leave that like that. Editing customer, I just explained that. Okay, our data should be set up properly. So we're actually also going to edit this to is editing customer and update customer, or it's going to be our new function. Customer. Okay. So now we're going to add another item into the table, except I'm going to make this a link. So ahref equals this. The pound sign basically means don't link to anything. Which is what we want. We don't want it to link to anything, but our @click is going to execute this function. So as you can see, in our add customer button up here, we have the @click pointing to is add customer equals true, basically signaling, hey, I need that dialog to pop up. But we got to do something a little bit different here, because we want to pass in the whole customer object into the function, so this way it knows which customer is being edited, since it's not blank. So we can set this. We're going to set this to blank for now. We're going to see if we can get some of this formatting down first. So we'll say change this to edit. And then we also have to add in a new header here. So let's copy this and add a new header. I like actions is usually a pretty descriptive term. So we're going to say actions, let's value actions. Let's save this and update it and see what it looks like. And let's go to this guy here, refresh this. What's up, Rob? How you doing? And it's loading, it's loading, it's loading. I think I need to get a new computer for this thing, because my my CPU is just going nuts right now with the streaming and the compiling and all the stuff, but oh well. Anyway, there's the board as we expected. Here's that edit action that we've added in there, so that's cool. That's what we want. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do, let's see, edit. We're going to create a new function called edit customer, and we're going to pass in, let's see, props.item. So as I specified before in the vData table, props.item references the specific item in the array that's passed into the template right here. So this should pass in our customer. Let's create that new function down here. So edit customer. I'm probably going to finish this and then call it a night. Edit customer. Customer. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we just want to set this.is editing customer equals true to open that dialog. Actually, the first thing we want to do is actually set the customer. So this.editing customer equals customer, right? So we're passing in customer here, and we're assigning it to this editing customer object that we created up here. And it's going to edit. It's going to open it up. So now at this point, what I should get is I should actually be able to click on that button and open the dialog box. So let's go ahead and save this. Go back to here. If I click on edit, there we go. That's what I expected. So I click edit, this comes up. Cool. Testing that one comes up. Cool. Exactly what I want. So that is all I need there. Then we also want to do create a new function that matches up with this update customer. Now we don't need to pass in the object here, because we're actually storing it in our editing customer object, or our editing customer property. So we're going to async update customer, the function, and let's see, actually before I even do this, we're going to have to create our method in our service to do this. So I'm going to copy this, because most of this is going to be the same. And we're going to say, this is where we will need to specify the customer. Update customer, and something went wrong. Sorry, Facebook guys. So actually, I don't know if you guys can hear this okay, but if you guys can't hear this, let me know how the stream performance is, because I have no idea how well this is working. Facebook is complaining that I'm pushing too much to it. So, but what are you going to do? All right, so async update customer. We're going to pass in the customer. And then this is actually going to be, as I said before, the query parameter we're going to pass in is the ID of the customer. So, and since this customer should have an ID because it was already created in the database, we can pass in customer._ID, and that's going to line up with our route. The data that we're sending in is going to be the customer itself, because we just want that one, we're just updating the single customer. And our method is put. So our options are, we're going to issue a put HTTP request to this URL, I defined the view app base URL inside of our environment variables in a previous video. You can go back and watch those on YouTube, my YouTube channel. Subscribe, click the bell for notifications. And then it's going to pass in the customer object to be actually updated. And then that is kind of about it. Let's see. That's what we want to see there. So let's go back in here. And now that we have our new service method that we just created, we will await customer API service dot update customer, and we're going to pass in this dot editing customer. Editing customer. There we go. So it's going to pass in that object. So once it passes in that object, then I think the next thing we do is this dot is editing customer equals false, which is going to close that. And then I'm also going to update this dot editing customer to equal, yeah, see here I got generate new customer. Let's see, async, we're going to create a new function here. Clear editing customer. Clear editing customer. Because what I want to do is I want to be able to call one function, and it's going to go ahead and do basically exactly the same thing I have going on here, and just do, see, new customer. We want this to be null. We don't need that to be a new identifier. New customer, except we want this to be editing customer equals new customer. Okay, because basically all we're doing is we're clearing this out. We've saved our customer. We pushed it through the API. Excuse me. We don't want to keep it. We don't want to keep that data laying around, so it cleans it out. So instead of doing that here, we can do this dot clear editing customer. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now I think we're in a good place to test this. So let's go back to this guy, refresh, change, okay, load again, that's fine. We go ahead and edit my name, click test, save, and nothing. Yeah, well, it updated it here, but I don't know that it updated it permanently, so we can refresh this to make sure we're fetching the latest data to the API, and it didn't update. So now we get the fun of figuring out why it didn't work. So F12 to open our debug tools, and we're going to go ahead and do this again, and we're going to record it and see what it does when I click save. Save. Okay. Request failed with status code 404. Interesting. Okay, so it didn't like what I sent it. Let's see. That should be the ID of the customer. Was API customer's ID. Now, what did I miss? You know what? Did I not save this? Could that have been what did it? What do I have actually open here that's being edited? I have two things being edited. So I'm notorious for this. I'm going to go ahead and save everything, and we're going to refresh this to start again. So what I'll do is, and I do this all the time, I'll make changes to something, I'll write the code, and I'll theorize, hey, it looks like it's good, it looks like it's going to work. And then I never actually save my file, so my code, the actual application, has no idea that I made those changes in the first place. Alright, so we're finished loading here. Let's go ahead and click edit. Let's try this again. Test 1, 2, 3. And you can see in Vue, the components themselves are data bound to the objects beneath them. So you can see, even though I'm editing it here, in the background it's changing it because it's actually connected to the same exact object, right? So this is my test. Let's go ahead and save that. And it seemed to accept it okay. Now if we go back into our terminal windows that we have open, check Morgan and see if that actually came back okay. So we have a put request here. Expand this out a little bit. We have a put request there. HTTP code was 200. Data size was 13. I think it's kilobytes. And it took just under 60 milliseconds to complete the operation and send it back. So now, if I refresh this, I should get the updated customer object here. And I don't. That's interesting. Why is that? I didn't expect that. Let's go actually into the database ain't gonna help me. Going into the database is gonna help me. This is interesting. This is interesting. So let's do find one and update or find one and delete instead. Yeah, I'm having some complaints here. Let's see, well, there are 304. Let's check the database. Let's see what's going on there. 3T. You know what else I can do? Might be able to do this quicker. We'll have a race. We'll see who can win. IWR. Come on. Get URI localhost 8082 API customers. We're going to pipe this into res. If I can do this right. This cannot get API c.customers. Customers cannot get API customers. There we go. Res.content. First name Brian. Yeah, okay, so this is coming directly from the API. It did not update.